Welcome to the Red Chair series. In the Red Chair series, we do a series of interviews with high-level C-suite staff from leading health and life insurance companies, where we take you a little bit behind the scenes and coming up with insightful comment and information on where the industry is going. My name is Richard Lett, I'm the CEO of Leclerc Group, and today we have Britta Orr, who's the Chief Medicare Officer with Allina Health Aetna. So welcome to Leclerc Group and welcome to today's Red Chair series, Britta.
Thanks for having me here, Richard. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the partnership with Leclerc that we've built over these last 3 years, and excited to talk today.
So I think this is the first time you've done an in-person interview for the last 15 months?
I'm rusty, I gotta tell you, but I'm very excited to be back out here. Got my red shoes and ready to go. And
you're in the red chair. Well, thank you. I'm always rusty, by the way, but thank you for joining us today. Well, just to kick off, tell us a little bit about yourself. Your education, what drives you, and what got you to Allina Health Aetna. Tell us about you.
Yeah, happy to. I was born in Minnesota. Well, I was born in Pennsylvania. I grew up in Minnesota, so been here for a long time. Went off to Chicago, Northwestern University for school and came back for grad school. I ended up getting a degree in law and public health from the University of Minnesota. And what really drives me, I'd say, my dad was a preacher. My mom was a clinical social worker, and I watched them kind of help people through the hardest parts of life, and it wasn't uncommon that those hard parts had to do with their health or with a medical diagnosis. And so I really saw a lot of that as a kid, and then my folks had actually their own life-changing medical diagnoses when I was in high school, and I got to see them go through the healthcare system for all that it entails, fragmentation, challenges of navigating things kind of at that lowest point when you don't quite know what to do. And I very quickly became interested in helping make that a more seamless process for folks. So, how do you make it more affordable? How do you make it more effective? So I went on to school and landed my dream job here with Allina Health Aetna, and I really try to do that every day.
Thank you for doing that. I mean, I think partly as part of the C-suite, you've got to be part of ROI, but actually with your background, it sounds like there's a lot of advocacy in there and change. Yeah,
most definitely. I come from policy and advocacy world and public health for sure. Spent a lot of time working for nonprofits and up on Capitol Hill. And so I like to think that I am still that advocate, every day. And very much the focus of Allina Health Aetna is on our member and doing the right thing for our member, making life easier for the providers that we work with and serve. So yeah, advocacy is a big part of what I do day in and day out.
Great. And so tell us, you're a Chief Medicare Officer, and I know that every time I do it I have to slow myself down because I'm used to saying Chief Medical Officer, so I'm sure I'm not the first person to make that mistake. I don't know if that role is unique to Allina Health Aetna, but tell me, what is the day-to-day role of the Chief Medicare Officer? I'm assuming you report to the CEO and you've got a vast team that reports to you, but what is your day-to-day responsibilities for Allina Health Aetna?
Yeah, I do. And it's funny because I thought I was going to be a doctor, so it's fine. You can give me that MD credential anytime you want. But, it's really a general manager type role when you think about it and break it down. I was a 3-sport athlete, so if you kind of use a sports analogy, I'm the quarterback. Really, I need to know how to play all the positions, but I don't actually play them. I need to know how they work together, how they execute a strategy or, a solution. And so it's my job to be that person who sees the whole field, and on any given day that might look like a conversation about network adequacy. It might be a value-based contract conversation with a provider partner. It might be a regulatory compliance need. It might be sales, marketing, public relations, operational facets of the product that we want to get just right. So I really am privileged to kind of touch every part of the business and to have, as you said, really great people working for me to make that run smoothly. And ultimately, I'm accountable for the profit and loss of the Medicare side of the house. So, that financial performance and meeting our goals, and then having the vision for the future. So
it's not easy to keep your eyes wide across the whole field. I mean, all the different areas that you said. It's the reason why I suppose quarterbacks are so important is that actually keeping your eyes open it's not easy.
Yeah, I think it's a skill. I'm working on it every day, like most of us. And I was a basketball player, so I led in assists. And if I'll give myself credit for one thing in this role, it's hiring well. So it takes a team.
It does, absolutely. So you were part of Allina Health Aetna from the joint venture startup?
Shortly after.
You were an early hire.
Yeah, June of 18 I started.
Okay, so that's a 3-4 year project now. I remember being
Correct.
involved in meetings very early, before, as it was coming to town, as it were. And so tell me a little bit about your understanding. As I suppose on one level, people would say, well, why does Minnesota need, or why does America need another health insurance business? So what is the mission, the purpose of Allina Health Aetna? What opportunity do you see, and how are you going to do things differently?
I think we're very focused on the triple aim. It's the same things we've all talked about for a long time. Quality, affordability, positive experience, but looking at it from a different point of view, right? Innovating and really coming together differently to achieve that. We want to be personal, we want to be simple, we want to be trustworthy. Those are the things that we value. And doing it as a payer and provider, or a payvider, which is a term that's kind of coming to art now, is really exciting. I think, you can think of a person as the patient, or you can think of them as the member. You can think of your role as the health plan, or you can think of your role as the provider. And the luxury that we have within Allina Health Aetna is to wear those hats all the time, all of those hats. And it's very additive, the different perspectives that affords us to the benefit of the consumer. So rather than the typical friction points that you might see between a payer and a provider, we're able to go through reimbursement negotiations or administrative burden talks that are very different than what you would have if you weren't part of the same family, part of the same team.
Okay. So just an anecdote for you about to how something I've seen how successful you are being is that my wife made me go and see a cardiologist. I was thinking, I don't need to see a cardiologist, but anyway, so I went to see a cardiologist at United Hospital in St. Paul. And as I'm waiting there's about 6 people in front of me, all apparently seniors. And part of the thing is they're signing in, they're asked, what is their coverage? And 6 out of 6 were Allina Health Aetna Medicare plan.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, that was really interesting. So there I was thinking we were going to be talking, and you had 6 out of 6. And I thought, well, there's a testament. Maybe it was the Allina Health Aetna day. But what growth are you seeing, and is it connected to the Allina hospital system or more broadly?
Yeah, we've been very excited about our growth these last few years. We were the leading MA carrier in growth in the 2020 AHIP, which was big for us. It was just our second year. We're definitely getting up there, right, to scale and having a bigger presence in the market. Very excited about that. I think it's driven a lot by Allina Health's reputation. It's this very strong local network. IBM's Watson just listed them one of the top 15 healthcare systems in the country for the second year in a row. But we also leverage and draw very heavily on Aetna as our other parent and the national Medicare expertise that they have serving millions of members across the country. And so bringing those two things together, I think people see the value in that. We are a startup within 2 very well-established entities with data and analytics and critical care capacity and centers of excellence in a number of facets.
Maybe it's a way for 2 very established companies to, by a joint venture, to do something different.
Yeah, and we see ourselves as really an incubation lab for both parents. So, we're trying new and different things when it comes to models of care with Allina Health. We're trying new and different things when it comes to how we serve our members or how we design our products when it comes to Aetna. So not only can we draw on the strengths of our parents, but we're a learning lab for them in the ways that they can roll out those services and innovations either locally or across the country.
And I think often we see Minnesota as a place of innovation.
Yeah.
So thank you for being part of that. There you are, a payvider, a provider-payer mix joint company. There are a few of them, different models that we see. Majority of insurance companies are payers. What are the challenges do you see at being that blend of a payer and a provider?
I think there's some challenges. I think there's definitely more opportunity than challenge, but As with any other highly regulated industry, you sort of have the sandboxes.
Medicare? Regulated?
Right.
Really?
You have those sandboxes you're allowed to play in.
Yeah.
And so as we're leading with what we can do that's new and different, sometimes you run into those barriers and challenges. And we want to do everything compliantly. We want to do it the right way.
Sure.
And so that's important, but we also want to be flexible in our thinking and what we can offer. So sometimes that can be a challenge, but really, it's about doing things that are on the opportunity side, I think, more than anything. And we can find ways to do new and different without having to, completely give up that idea because of the regulatory environment, which is great.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's necessary, but also to some extent it gets heavier and heavier, doesn't it? Particularly if you're wanting to be innovative.
Yeah.
But okay, we've got the payer provider context. As we look forward over the next 3 to 5 years, what do you think is the best model for healthcare in America? I mean, I see cost is driven by treatment, right? So the more you do, the more it's going to cost. If we if everybody had a healthier society, we focused on prevention, people didn't get sick, they took the advice, I wonder if this, and I say this somewhat with a smile on my face, because as Americans, been this sort of land of independent thinkers and people, etc. How do we get all of us to be healthier? What's the model for the future that you see, allowing people to think, be independent, do things in their own way, have freedom of choice, yet control costs, be healthier? I mean, what was your perspective on that?
I think that's a huge question. I love that question. I spent a lot of time thinking about it in grad school, especially. At a macro level, I see there's a lot of success in public-private partnership. I think that's the beauty of the Medicare model. It's a federally funded, supported program that pushes and looks to the private sector in companies like ours to innovate, to drive competition, to create value in the market.
Yeah.
So I think really leveraging public-private partnership is a very helpful way to get ahead of a lot of the issues.
So the sort of stability of government, but the innovation of the private sector.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think at sort of a micro level, right, it's all about kind of providing the right care for the right person at the right time in the right way. And very proud to be now a part of the CVS Health family, through the acquisition of Aetna, where they really are taking a look at how to integrate a 360 view of a patient, of a member, day in and day out. So, they've got retail, they've got convenience care, they've got, chronic condition management, data exchange, pharmacy, and really looking at how those integrative models like CVS and like their Health Hub blueprint can serve people holistically, I think is also sort of a part of the future of how to get ahead of some of that.
Okay. I often look at this and I see all the debate about, all the different things on a political level and a governmental level, and it seems to be always the question is about who pays. And I'm sort of thinking, I don't see America having a problem with who pays. We have companies, we have people, we have government, there's lots of people that can pay. The problem seems to be one of cost. So how do we address cost? I mean, surely if people are healthy and they don't need treatment, that's a great way of reducing costs. But what do you see?
Yeah, I think it's the perennial question, right? And no value, low value care, and finding ways to do that. Finding ways to have sort of, again, the right touch, the right care in the right place. Where you can leverage bricks and mortar, where you can leverage virtual alternatives. So those lowest cost care delivery models, I think, are most definitely an option. And trying to drive the right negotiations and aligned incentives, I think, is a huge part of that as well. It's one of the beauties of combining as a payer and provider is we're all working together for the best benefit of the member.
So what has Allina Health Aetna learned over the last 15 months? I mean, this is the first time we've met in 15 months, first time you've done an in-person interview, and I'm sure there's lots of things, and you haven't been doing nothing over the last 15 months, so what have you learned? What has Allina Health Aetna learned about how we best connect, communicate, and deliver healthcare?
Yeah, I think a few things jump to mind about what the pandemic has taught me, and I think our business. One is just the critical importance of social connectedness, mental health, behavioral health, and how that needs to be at the core of what we're doing and what we're planning for going forward. I think the pandemic has really put a fine point on that.
Yeah.
if I think about, sort of consumerism and driving to meet people's needs, quality service, particularly an enhanced digital experience, COVID has definitely put a fine point on that. How can we meet people's needs in new and different ways, ease of use of technology. Big picture, I'm reading this book by Adam Grant, Think Again. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I have not. Tell me about the book.
The tag to the book is something like, the power of knowing what we don't know. The idea is through storytelling and lots of sort of data and examples, he talks about rethinking as a learned skill and being able to be flexible, open-minded is something that's sort of critically important to success. And so when I think about the learnings of the pandemic, especially in a business environment, or whether it's supporting agents in the community or our own goals, our members' goals, being able to rethink, being comfortable knowing that we don't know a lot, that we're making the best possible decisions in any given moment based on the information we have. I think that's a big part of the learning of the last year.
Yeah, the humility. I think the humility of that, of not assuming you know as much or more, or even enough. I mean, even Socrates, some of the most people considered the most intelligent people in history, were very conscious of how limited their knowledge was. And that they always wanted to be, it was always about thinking. And I remember being at school, it wasn't always about the details, the facts and the figures and the timelines. It was teaching you to think. And that is just such an important thing, that freedom to think and think fresh and think freshly. So is that what the book helps you do? Yeah,
I think so. Just supporting one another in that and understanding that a big part of rethinking and building that rethinking muscle is listening.
Yeah.
So, we're here to listen to the people we serve and learn from that.
Yeah, I think listening is a very important skill. So Medicare Advantage, Medicare, Medigap, Medicare supplement plans, it was always a sort of a 60-40 split between, and you see Medicare Advantage come up. That sort of single card, affordability, that fundamental difference between the promise of Medicare, Medigap plan, the portability and all the things that are very easy to talk to and to sell, right? Versus then over time the cost of that, because premiums go up and affordability as people's incomes go down and get older. Medicare Advantage has been doing really well over the last few years. What do you put that down to? And there are a lot of agents who say, well, I won't touch Medicare Advantage, it's no good. Why is it popular? That is the underpinning product for Allina Health Aetna's Medicare Advantage.
Yep.
What is it about Medicare Advantage? What faith do you have in it? Why is it getting better? Why should agents be confident to represent Medicare Advantage?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an extremely well-rounded product. It's sort of got all the core services and components of typical Medicare and a whole lot more. So, it's the holistic approach. It's the package for me that makes Medicare Advantage so enticing. So, we're going beyond the basics to having every plan with dental, vision, hearing, fitness memberships, those post-discharge meals, all the nice to haves. I've had folks come, members on our plan where we do call listening. I feel like that's the most important time I ever spend, is listening directly to our members calling in to talk about their experience or to ask a question. And I've heard people say things like, this plan's the gift that keeps on giving, or I thought that you were done serving me and then I got home from the hospital and I had a meal waiting. And so it really is very rewarding. I think the value story is just there. The equation is there financially.
There's so many bits and opportunities, be it the supplementary benefits, the built-in stuff, the prevention, the drugs that is often embedded within it. There's so many bits to it. One of the challenges that people will mention is they'll say, well, you get a zero premium plan, so it can't be worth anything.
Right.
How does an agent discuss, you see Medicare supplement plan might be $200 or more, and then there's a zero premium. And they say, well, how do you compare that when people I say, well, if it doesn't cost anything, it's worth nothing. So what's the funding mechanism? Where's the value? Well, how should people look at that, and how should agents discuss that with their clients?
I think it's a great question. I think it's very Minnesotan to say, well, this is zero, so it can't, this is too good to be true.
Yeah. We're quite skeptical, aren't we?
Sometimes, you know, it's good skepticism. But across the country, you know, more than half of Medicare Advantage beneficiaries are in a zero premium product. So this is business as usual everywhere else, and we're just kind of getting used to it. Yeah, exactly. And I think what's great about it is, I mean, we are paid by the government, by CMS, on a geographically based sort of premium rating level to deliver those services. And so those of us who do a good job of, you know, negotiating good rates with our providers, ensuring that we provide high quality care at the lowest cost, are able to position those products in better and better ways, even at a zero premium. It always covers the cost of the product. It's our job to do it in an efficient and an effective way.
And I think they're at heart, these are network plans.
Yes.
And therefore that network negotiation, the relationship you have with the networks, the cost control mechanisms that you have in it are all going to be part of your profitability. And profitability leads to lower costs. So it works for both sides, right? I mean, that's how it works. Is there anything else you would want to say about Medicare Advantage or what the future holds for the growth of Medicare Advantage?
I think the other thing to just note, you know, AHIP does a really good job, America's Health Insurance Plans, of, you know, creating infographics and kind of making the case to Congress every year. I mean, these are public dollars, and it's a pretty hefty obligation to be stewards of the public dollar in the role that I sit in. And you know, when you look at quality and outcomes, Medicare Advantage beats fee-for-service outcomes, you know, in the vast majority of quality metrics across many years. And so, especially for some of the highest risk, you know, highest need patients.
I've seen so many reports on the outcome.
Exactly.
So actually outcome-orientated reviews of Medicare Advantage show that it does outcompete traditional Medicare.
So the value's there and the quality, and that's what's really most exciting from my point of view. And I think it'll continue to take off in Minnesota.
So you've been incredibly friendly. It's been wonderful so far. But you did just mention AHIP, and with a week, just over a week to go before the certifications reopen, you've probably got a few agents twitching out there at the mention of AHIP as they gear up. When over their summer are they going to sit down for the hours that it takes to do the AHIP each year? I'm assuming you do AHIP. It's
a necessary evil, Richard. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, so that's good, and they do a good job. At least it creates that basis of training. Look, is there anything else that you would like to? I'm going to talk to you about Healthapalooza. You're going to be coming to Healthapalooza shortly.
Yes.
But before I do that, what other message have you got about Allina Health Aetna, or where does that company go from here?
Yeah, you know, we're growing.
Network, area, coverage. What should we expect?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're into 20 counties now, and we're continuing to grow. You know, very excited to be here. I think. One thing about us is being a startup within two well-established entities. You know, we're hustling still. You know, we're still in that mode, and we really are working hard to be your local solution. So, you know, we want to be the first person to answer the call. We want to be the person to answer the call the first time, and that's really how we've grown our reputation, and that's what we plan to continue to do. So. I think people should expect to see a lot more of us, and you know, we're excited to continue to innovate and bring more to this market. You know, we'll be doubling down on a lot of what we do really well this coming year, and we'll be bringing some new and different ideas too. So
great. So I see you've partnered with Aetna Senior Supplemental. You're sort of, which are, you know, they've got a great portfolio of ancillaries, hospital indemnity, cancer, you know, all that sort of ancillary coverages, plus the Medigap plan for those that want it, and that's across America. But you're coming to Healthapalooza as both companies, Aetna and Aetna Allina, as a gold sponsor. So thank you for that, Healthapalooza. We're looking at 400 agents this year. We're going to be live back in Mystic Lake. Fantastic event. I know the team and thank you. I know a lot of the team are behind the cameras here, put on a spectacular show. We've got bands, we've got workshops, we've got CE. But we open with a CEO panel, which includes Tom Lindquist, your CEO, on that panel. So I'm very looking forward to hearing Tom's insights into the future and lessons and where Allina Aetna is going. But maybe you've actually told us all today.
Oh, Tom's got a lot to say too, and has been doing this much longer than I have. So I'm very excited to hear him speak as well.
So we're very looking forward to seeing you and Dana and Drew Dressen. We have a wonderful team, and thank you for all the support you give us. You know, thank you for joining us today. So this is the Red Chair series. This is Britta Orr, the Chief Medicare Officer with Allina Health Aetna. And thank you very much for coming over to Woodbury today to talk to us.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.